So, as you guys already know, the primary was yesterday. It was actually Super Tuesday, which means that the most amount of states ever in the whole entire primary voted. So, Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, and Virginia all voted on the same exact day. Now, we will be talking about all of the results and a lot more on today's episode.
Facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Digging right in, we actually have all of the results. Now, we have a jam-packed show, so we're just going to get right into it. Right now, Trump has 995 delegates, Hailey has 89, and others have 12. Others did not matter because a lot of people just dropped out. Obviously, that's not going to count. Nikki Haley, 90. Trump has 10 times the amount that Nikki Haley has, at least 10 times the amount that Nikki Haley has. Maybe a little bit more, maybe even 11 times what Nikki Haley has. There's some reports of her actually dropping out, but we're going to go through what each state actually chose. North Carolina chose Trump, Alabama chose Trump, Alaska chose Trump, Arkansas chose Trump, California chose Trump, Colorado chose Trump, Maine chose Trump, Massachusetts chose Trump, Minnesota chose Trump, North Carolina chose Trump, Oklahoma chose Trump, Tennessee chose Trump, Texas chose Trump, Utah chose Trump, Vermont chose Nikki Haley, and Virginia chose Trump. With that being said, there's obviously a lot more states to go through. I'm not going to name all the states, but there's at least 20 more states to go through. So we have another primary on March 8th, March 12th, March 15th, March 16th, March 19th, March 23rd, April 2nd, April 21st, April 23rd, May 7th, May 14th, May 21st, and June 4th. So there's all these different primaries all scattered throughout the whole entire next 8 months of this election cycle. Now, on the Democratic side, we should say, it's just Joe Biden. There's no other person running. It's just Joe Biden. There's 7 uncommitted, which will come home to Trump, and there's 3 others, which will also come home to Trump. Come home to Biden. So there's going to be a total of 1,507 delegates assigned to Joe Biden. Obviously, like I said, there's a lot more actual spaces for Joe Biden to get. Obviously, you need I heard that you need 1,968 for nomination. Obviously, you're gonna get it, and Donald Trump needs 1,215 for nomination. Trump's gonna get the nomination. The primary is not gonna be even over yet, and Trump's gonna get the nomination. So, obviously, I think he only needs 5 more states. There's about 20. So this primary is officially over. Nikki Haley is thinking about dropping out. That's going to be our next article that we're actually getting into here. So we have a Daily Wire article. We have Nikki Haley to drop out of Republican presidential race after Super Tuesday losses. Obviously, she only won one state. That's not going to let her win the whole entire election. She can't even defeat Donald Trump. How is she going to defeat Joe Biden? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley will drop out of the Republican presidential nomination race on Wednesday after only picking up one state on Super Tuesday, as former President Donald Trump dominated at the polls. According to multiple reports, sources close to Nikki told multiple outlets that she will be dropping out of the race after winning just one of the 15 contests on Tuesday. Haley was the last major challenge to Trump and has been critical throughout the whole entire campaign of him. She managed to defeat him in Vermont, but lost by wide margins in other states that voted. Today, in state after state, there remains a large block of Republican primary voters who are expressing deep concerns about Donald Trump. Spokesperson Olivia Perez Cubas told on Tuesday. That is not unity our party needs for success. During her campaign, Haley picked up wins in the District of Columbia and Vermont, but failed to build momentum in other states, taking third in Iowa and losing by over 10 points in New Hampshire after the rest of the field have dropped out. Last month, she was unable to win her home state of South Carolina, where she is expected to announce the suspension of her campaign. So, and I completely agree with this, and the most telling part is where she actually won. She actually won in Washington, D.C., the swamp. She won the swamp. She's funded by those very people. That's why she won the swamp. So a lot of people are saying that, obviously, that's actually a better thing politically for Trump to not win Washington, D.C., because obviously that's where career bureaucrats have been residing, and it's just overall not a good look to win in Washington, D.C. It's just not. That's not what we want to see in our president. We want to see, listen, If you don't win the swamp, that's actually better. We want to actually push away from what we've been seeing and what we've been hearing from our politicians all of our life with their do-nothing campaigns and their empty promises and their sweet little nothings when something goes wrong. We don't want that anymore. We want somebody that actually gets the job done, and that's Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump have been getting the job done since 2016. 2016, he was elected. 2017, he was inaugurated. Since 2017, he has made the economy better. He has made gas prices smaller. He has made all of our daily lives actually better. You could actually go out and get a job. Everyone was hiring. Everyone was flourishing. The stock market was exponentially increasing. I mean, thousands of dollars over Trump. It's just an overall greater experience for Donald Trump to be in the office than Joe Biden, than anybody else. It's just, for me, I would agree that Donald Trump would be the best place or the best person that we can have in the job to actually make sure that America is great again. That's the campaign promise that Donald Trump made in 2016 or even before that on the campaign trail in 2015. So very, very interesting stuff here. But what is also interesting is our next article that we have in the media's takes.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
So moving right into the media's takes, we have a CNN article where Portland, hard drugs, and other experiments in direct democracy. So a lot of people are actually going to be voting for these hard drugs. Now, I don't get why these people are actually voting for hard drugs, seeing what it actually did to New York and other states that actually made sure that this was illegal to have. Cocaine, meth, all of these things that were actually legal to have are actually ruining their society. But you know what will not ruin your society is this Don't Trust What You See mug over, it's not really a mug, it's a tumbler. Available. It's not really a tumbler either. It's a vessel for your Don't Trust What You See, and your common sense isn't common. What I mean by Don't Trust What You See is this tumbler, Don't Trust What You See, and this common sense isn't common. You can put your water in here and your coffee, and then you can, that's good. So with that being said, we can have all of this and more available at Shop.Araujo Studios with free shipping, 15% off if you use code Demetrios. Now, moving right into this article, we actually have the CNN article, like I did say. We do have less than 4 years from after Oregon voters decided to decriminalize small amounts of hard drugs in the state. Legislators have had enough. A surge in fentanyl overdoses in state drove lawmakers to pass a bill aimed at rolling back the experiment, which is actually a better thing because now Portland was actually one of the first states to actually decriminalize small amount of hard drugs in the state. So, like I said, these people have had their lives ruined because of these drugs. People think that, oh, weed isn't that bad. Weed isn't, it's not that bad. But where does that lead us to? If we have weed being legal, then what makes us think that we are going to have other drugs stay against the law and illegal to have? Just because you have one drug, then they make the case for another drug. And just because we have that drug, then we make the case for another drug. But obviously it's different in hindsight. But when we're right there and people are voting, we're like, well, meth isn't that bad. Well, people get thrown into jail because of meth. People get thrown into jail because of cocaine and fentanyl and all of these other drugs. Why not just let them have it? Well, why not let them have it? Because it's not flourishing for society. That's exactly why we should not have it. That's exactly why we should not even allow them to have an inch, because if they take an inch, they will take a mile. Now, obviously, a lot of people are going to be voting for this in Oregon this year to see if this experiment will continue. Obviously, I hope that they take the common sense approach, and that's actually making sure that this is actually criminal to have all these drugs because it's ruining their cities, it's ruining their state. I just don't know why they even wanted to do this experiment in the very first place. They're trying to actually undo the voter initiative. They're trying to undo this. So I completely agree. Washington City, for example, struggled to pass a new drug policy after a state court declared its felony drug possession law unconstitutional in 2021. San Francisco voters last year recalled the city's liberal district attorney, Kelsey Burden, an advocate for criminal justice reform. The recall was a referendum on rising crime rates and open drug use in the city. Similarly, Democratic mayors in cities like New York and Chicago are now rethinking well-meaning sanctuary policies after thousands of asylum seekers, migrants. Okay, so we can already see where this is going. Obviously, this is not well-meaning. When you allow people to come into your city, come into your state, rent-free, and just say, no, we'll pay all of your expenses if you come down to our city. All of those cities that are offering those are not border states. And then border states states say, well, if you're open to it, then yeah, why not just take these illegal immigrants? And then people like people like Governor Hailey in Massachusetts say, oh, well, wait, that's not what we meant. And then we declare a national emergency in Massachusetts because 12 people were sent to Martha's Vineyard. So that's telling you right there. They're not able to handle all of these people, but then they want to open their mouth and say, no, let in the immigrants. Yeah, until you actually see what's going on in those states, and then you're overwhelmed. It's bad. Moving into the next article, we actually have another CNN article. We have why November could decide Senate control for years. Now, obviously, when it comes down to the election, you choose who you want to represent your district. And that's exactly what they're talking about here. If there's some more Senate seats available, then obviously those people are going to control the Senate. And if people drop out of the Senate, then people are appointed. So obviously those people will be having the minority or the majority in the Senate, and that will be able to pass or not pass bills that the party or the other party wants or does not want. That's exactly what the point of the Senate is. If you have Republicans in the Senate, then we have common sense passed. If we have Democrats taking the majority in the Senate, then we have clown show going on over there. So yeah, it's just horrible. Obviously, every single November we vote for who we want to represent us. So CNN is having a hard time understanding that. I'm not going to read that article. Moving into the next thing, we actually have an MSNBC clip that actually went viral. It's talking about white rural voters. Obviously, this was a book that somebody decided to write. The two writers are actually on the MSNBC show here. So let's talk about the clip here. Obviously, maybe you have already saw it, but this is going to be the first time that I actually see the whole clip here. We do have about 2 minutes of it.
Joining us now, Professor of Political Science at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Tom Schaller, and journalist and opinion writer Paul Waldman. Their new book, out tomorrow, is entitled White Rural Rage, the Threat to American Democracy. And Tom, we'll start with you.
Now, I'm just going to pause that right here. How is a voter in America a threat to voting in America? Because democracy is voting. How is a voter a threat to voting? Just explain that, please.
Why are white rural voters a threat to democracy at this point? You would think, as we pointed out, looking at Joe Biden's background and Donald Trump's, that the opposite would be true.
I mean, we lay out the fourfold interconnected threat that white rural voters pose to the country. First of all, and we show 30 polls and national studies to demonstrate this. So we provide the receipts in chapter 6.
Oh, all the receipts. Like, this is actually Twitter or something. Listen, the thing is, you can have all the quote unquote receipts you want. You can have all the screenshots that you want. It does not matter. And if you do want to talk about, a threat to democracy, it's not a threat to democracy to vote.
They're the most racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, anti-gay geodemographic group in the country. Second, they're the most conspiracist group. QAnon support.
Okay, so they're the most racist. How are they the most racist? You look at the comments of this video here, and you can see that there's actually a lot of people that are black living in these areas that they're saying. In rural areas, there are black people living too. Obviously, there's also white people. So how is it just that demographic of people so specific to what you're talking about? It just doesn't make any sense here, obviously, because of the fact that obviously, if you were to question something, let's just say if you were to question COVID, they would say, oh, no, you're a COVID denialism. You're committing COVID denialism. Doesn't make any sense. If you're questioning something, question the science. Like, science is an organization or something. Science is not an organization. It's a plethora of different doctors. Obviously, you should be open to questions. But of course, they're not open to questions anymore because they're closed off. They're like, you're questioning me? I went through 10 years of school. Who are you? You just graduated high school. Okay, and it does not matter who I graduated from. I still have more common sense than you because you don't realize that people can be asking questions about this topic.
Subscribers, election denialism, COVID denialism, and scientific skepticism, Obama birtherism. Third, anti-democratic sentiments. They don't believe in an independent press, free speech. They're most likely to say the president should be able to act unilaterally without any checks from Congress or the courts or the bureaucracy. They're also the most strongly white nationalist and white Christian nationalists. And fourth, they are most likely to excuse or justify violence as an acceptable alternative to peaceful public discourse.
So you mentioned...
Okay, well, hold on. Okay, so now there's a lot to go through here. So number one, COVID denialism. What does that actually mean? Like I just said, just asking questions. Just asking questions is COVID denialism. It does not make any sense. You're not going to just trust your authority with no questions being asked. It does not make any sense here. You're racist, you're xenophobic. Why? Because you don't want immigrants coming through our borders that are killing people like Laken Riley? It does not make any sense here. If we do not want illegal immigration in America, then we can have still legal immigration. Legal. Come through the border legally. Come through how you're supposed to come through. And then we have no problem with you. But the thing is, we should still have a cap on the amount of people that come through legally. But of course, we need to have our borders protected first, because if we don't have a protected border, we don't have America.
The most conspiracist group, QAnon support and subscribers, election denialism, COVID denialism and scientific skepticism, Obama birtherism.
Okay, so Obama birtherism. Okay, so if you're asking questions based off of a document that might or might not be false, how is that a conspiracy? You're asking questions.
Third, anti-democratic sentiments. They don't believe in an independent press, free speech.
They absolutely do believe in the independent press because of the fact that we've been fighting for an independent press since you guys censored everything on social media. How do we not believe in freedom of speech when we invested our own money to create Truth Social, Parler, all of these other independent sites? Elon Musk spent billions of dollars to buy Twitter and now name it X. So now we spent our own money to create things that are free speech. And now if you go to Meta, Meta's Instagram or Facebook, or you go to Threads, you get censored. You get censored to the high heavens for saying anything that's not approved. How are we, the Republicans, the people of lockdown and going against the independent press? That does not make any sense.
They're most likely to say the president should be able to act unilaterally without any checks from Congress or the courts or the bureaucracy. They're also the most strongly...
Okay, so before you get into the next thing, why do you think that we, the Republicans, think that the president can just do whatever he wants without any checks and balances? Since when did we say that? What, just because we're saying that Joe Biden needs to sign an executive order, the same exact executive order that he signed on the first week of his office to overturn what he broke on the immigration system on our border? Is that why? It does not make any sense.
Nationalists and white Christian nationalists. And fourth, they are most likely to excuse...
Wait, white Christian nationalists? You do know that our country was built on Christian values. That's why on our First Amendment right, we have the right to remain. We have the right to free speech. And it talks about God throughout our whole entire Constitution. Our country is built on Christian values. Even if there was some of our forefathers that did not believe in God or were not so Christian, they still knew that it was a good idea to put that on the forefront, to have that be the example in America. That's why we give churches tax-free. We give the churches the right to have tax-free land in America. You don't have to pay taxes on the land that you own in a church. Also, you don't have to pay taxes on your income in a church. So why is that a true statement if we allow all of these churches to flourish, if we allow everybody to go to whatever church you want, if we have people choosing their religion, not just Christian, but also Catholic, also Jewish, also Greek Orthodox, also all of these other orthodoxies in America, if it is only quote-unquote Christian, we allow any religion in America.
Justify violence as an acceptable alternative to peaceful public discourse.
So you mentioned...
Okay, so that's not the right that actually does that. That's actually the left that was burning down buildings in the summer of 2020. So you can see with the George Floyd riots where the media was actively saying this was a peaceful protest. This was a peaceful protest. It's not a peaceful protest. And then you're going to sit here and gaslight and say that we are the ones that do that? That's not true.
A lot of negative factors about this demographic. Tom, what else do they have in common?
I think that what really matters at this point in time.
What makes them vulnerable?
Okay, so he could not answer the question. What else do they have in common? So no positives, right away. No positives. He's drawing a blank, just trying to come up with a positive, and then she has to rephrase the question because he has no idea how to answer that.
Oh well, a lot of that has to do with, as a starting point, the problems that rural America has, which are very real and very profound.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, America has profound issues. What is a profound issue? And of course, he's going to try to just try to come up with some excuses here. He's like, oh, well, we should do this and this and that. No. When you actually read the book, you can actually see all of the misinformation that he has in there. You can sit there and say, well, misinformation, well, it is misinformation. Misinformation because of the fact that it's just not true. All Republicans do is question the authority. They don't like being questioned because they want the ultimate authority over our lives. That's not happening. With that being said, we do have Jen Psaki, which is mocking voters worried about illegal immigration. Obviously, she used to work for the Biden administration, so obviously she's going to try to stick up for them. So former White House press secretary used her MSNBC platform on Tuesday evening to mock voters who say they're worried about illegal immigration. An effort that was gleefully aided by two of her colleagues on the left-leaning cable news network, Rachel Maddow and Joy Reid. Psaki joined by panel discussion breaking down Super Tuesday's primary results and exit polls, and she couldn't resist taking a shot specifically at voters in Virginia who are worried about a chronic situation at the southern border. I mean, if you look at these exit polls, if you live in Virginia, Psaki began, immigration was #1 issue. Again, those could change. In Virginia, Psaki continued. Well, Virginia does not have a border with West Virginia. Virginia does have a border with West Virginia, Maddow chimed in, adding, a very contested area. Critics were quick to point out the fact that 3 years of the Biden near open border policies, coupled with the fact that the red border state governors had been sending illegal immigration to blue sanctuary cities, and the Biden administration had been quietly flying illegal immigrants all over the country, had turned every state, Virginia included, into a border state. How are they ignorant out of the truth? An illegal immigrant who was charged with raping a teenager in Virginia a week ago, Mark Hemingway reported. So of course, they are out of touch because they have no idea. No, they don't know who Lincoln Riley is because they don't care who Lincoln Riley is. They don't care because of the fact that their border policies are the ones that causing this. So why the hell would they sit here and say, oh, well, this is what's causing this. This is what's causing this. No, they would never admit any wrongdoing on their part because that makes them look bad. They do not want to look bad because this is an election year. So they're going to have all of their friends in the media, especially a person that used to work for this administration, talk about a partisan hack, stand up for this administration, even though they're doing a lot of things bad. Of course, all of these people that work for the Biden administration obviously are going to stick up for him because they will lose their jobs if he does not get reelected. So with that being said, this is going to do it for this episode of the Demetrios Araujo Show. If you did like my breakdown of the Super Tuesday and you did like my coverage of the facts, please consider subscribing and liking down below so I know that you like these kinds of episodes so I can make more in the future. If you did like this episode and you do want to support me in this channel to continue it to make it better and better over time, like I said in the middle of the show, please check out shop.araujostudios.com and you can use code Demetri for 15% off and free shipping all throughout America because America is the best country. If you do want to follow me over on Twitter, I do have it Araujo_ or Araujo Demetrios, I should say. And then I do have my media company over on X. I do have Araujo Studios. With that being said, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for enjoying, and I hope they have a great rest of your day. Bye.